is the DallasCowboys.com Draft Show.
The Dallas Cowboys select Ezekiel Elliott.
And now, your hosts, Dane Brugler, David Hellman, and Brian Broaddus.
Well, it's day 2 of the coverage of the 2017 NFL Combine from Indianapolis, Indiana. Brian Broaddus, Dane Brugler, CBS Sports, Draft Show regular. David Hellman, DallasCowboys.com, Draft Show regular as well. Kent Garrison, executive producer. We welcome everybody that's out there joining us today. And guys, excited to get into a little bit of the personalities of these players. You know, we did see the opportunity to have some interviews at the podium. We got to see some guys lift. You know, so again, personalities work out. We haven't seen the full workout. That will take place tomorrow. The guys that ran through us today were the running backs and the offensive linemen. And I want to get into, we've talked about how this has become a media event. This part of it.
Yeah, talk about it, Brian. You wrote about it today.
Yeah, I wrote about it on DallasCowboys.com, and I feel
kind of hate what you've become a little bit.
I hate what I've become. I do, and I hate what I've become. And as Dave pointed out, it's my 25th year of doing this, of coming to the Combine, and I felt like as the media side of that I'm ashamed because I'm hurting my scouting side of it. But if you want to read my opinion piece, please go to DallasCowboys.com and do that. I felt like I put it out there, I laid it out there pretty well. But the side that we got to do today, and real quick if I could too, I'll go through the show. We'll visit a little bit about the sights and sounds, things that we heard today, guys that we got a chance to visit with, do some stuff too with the physical side of it, the numbers from the
bench press.
From the bench press over there. And I want to get into you about the bench press because I think you said something that you really weren't the bench press didn't mean that all that much for the offensive linemen. And I hope I'm not quoting you wrongly there.
It's an overrated.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll get into
Okay.
that. I want to get into that. But let me set this thing up.
Okay.
We'll talk about all that. We're going to do Twitter on the 20, and then we'll get into some other things. Maybe, I got the impression that some of the guys might not really like football. And just some of the conversations that were had. And as a scout, my ears perked up.
Some of the guys or one guy in particular?
Well, some of the guys. I think that we'll see. There's some guys I think that, and I want to get into that. And I want to get into that with both of you because I have my feeling about guys really loving football. And as an evaluator, where am I, especially at this combine, if I get a guy that doesn't have that
fire
in his eyes, am I going to go away from that? But we'll get into that in the second half of the show. So you can get a hold of us. Like I say, we don't have the ability to take any calls, which is, I'm sorry about that. Dave gets on me because I don't take calls anyway. But when we get back to the Star, I promise to do that. But way you can interact with us, though, is like we do Twitter on the 20. Send your questions. You should be following at the Draft Show anyway. Kent Garrison does a great job managing the account, letting you know we're on Periscope, we're on the different platforms that you can. I had some people on iTunes today. Kent was apologized about that. We got that all squared away. So thank you guys for everything you do to follow along the Draft Show. But if you want to get your questions answered today, I want to give you that opportunity at the Draft Show. Make sure we'll do that. David Hellman will Twitter on the 20, and we'll take care of that. Okay, impressions of the day. I know it's a broad question, and it's one of those things where, a kid stands up there for 3 minutes, stands up there for 12 minutes, for 17 minutes. But what do you gather in this? A lot of these kids come from big schools. They're used to standing in front of the media and talking, and there's some kids that really aren't used to that, though. What did you take, though, from some of the big names that went today? Fournette, Cook, guys like that.
Kamara,
Tennessee.
Well, and we can get into that, but the funny thing to me, I already joked about how we make this big deal about the combine, and it kind of just it takes forever for the ball to really start get rolling, And then the ball started rolling today, and who did we watch? We watched the two positions that the Cowboys don't really need, like the strengths of their team, running back and offensive lines. And there were plenty of interesting things to take away, but I just thought it was funny. It's like, Okay, and every other team in the league is like,
no swing tackle out there for you.
I'm sure, and I know, draft nerd. Like, don't try to throw me under the bus like that. But
I wasn't throwing you under the bus. I was just saying.
Obviously, the Cowboys could use a tackle. That's
sure
not my point. But
sure they could.
If you had to say two strengths on this team, wouldn't those be near the top of the list?
Oh, offensive line and
running back.
Yeah. Except for backup running back.
Every team in the league is sitting here like, oh, Fournette, Cook, Kamara, Pumphrey, and
Pumphrey,
Hunt.
Interesting guy.
A lot of good players. But for the Cowboys, I'm just like, all right, where are the pass rushers? Where are the corners?
Oh,
anyway,
so you're lining up for your focus is now going to be on these defensive ends.
I'm trying to make this squad better in 2017. But to your point. And these were two really interesting interviews, and I thought Fournette and Cook were a really fun juxtaposition because I thought Fournette was a case example of like how these guys are coached to the extreme on their approach to the combine and how he just wanted to make it as boring as he possibly could. And he sure did. I mean, I went to LSU. I love Leonard Fournette, but that was as boring as I've ever been a part of. And then Dalvin Cook, it wasn't the best interview ever, but he was much more engaging, much more interesting, much more willing to speak his mind. And I came away from the whole thing with a better impression of Dalvin Cook than of Leonard Fournette. And, I'm not going to let an interview dictate your NFL career, but that's just kind of how I came away. What do you think?
The biggest thing for me during these interviews today was just finding out more about the injuries.
Right.
What's going on with the medicals. And Dalvin Cook, one of the biggest wild cards this week based on the medicals.
Right.
And so he stood up there and he said that he passed every single medical test.
Now, explain to him the test. Now, we've done research on this.
Mm-hmm.
It's the labrum. He's had trouble with both shoulders.
Both shoulders.
The back
front,
shoulder,
yes.
The back, the front, on the right side.
On the right side, back and front. And then on the left side, I think of the front.
Right.
Is that what I said?
Yeah.
But dating back to his high school days, so 3 surgeries.
Not good for a running back to have shoulder issues.
For a 210-pound running back.
Right.
Who's not, that's not – he doesn't have the body armor ideal. He's not a Zeke. He's not a Fournette.
Yeah.
In terms of just build and physicality as a runner. But, to hear him stand up there confidently say that teams passed him, teams cleared him, that's a big step for him. Now, obviously, when we talk to teams, that'll be a little bit, make sure just to verify because, you expect him to say that. But hopefully teams come back with similar feedback that, hey, you know what, it checked out okay, we feel a lot better about it.
But what did he do today?
Bench press.
Yeah,
exactly. And that's the other point.
Yeah.
That was 22 reps.
22 reps.
You're not doing 22 reps on the bench press if you have a sore shoulder.
Or even a concern.
Or
about
shoulder weakness is another thing, too.
Right. That 22 is more than several of the offensive linemen did today.
Yeah.
So 22 is a really good number. And that kind of, you touched on it, the bench press. And we can touch on it a little bit here, but it doesn't measure football strength. That's not the point of the bench press. The point of the bench press is to help to show your endurance, your weight room strength, to show teams that, hey, I spend a lot of time, working on my body, working out in that type of setting. So that speaks highly of Dalvin Cook and the fact that not only does he have, the work ethic where he's able to do 22 reps at 210 pounds, but also with the shoulders. It didn't affect him. So a really good day for Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, I think that if you're a team, and again, we're a Dallas Cowboys show. I mean, we're employed by the Dallas Cowboys. We like to keep the draft show as the best we can. If you're happen to be a fan of another team and you're looking for a running back, that's why we're talking about these running backs.
We're here for the big picture.
We are. Again, we always talk about investigate and educate, and we do. You
don't even have to make a case for somebody who's not a Cowboys fan listening to this.
Well, I just like to say
you should care about these running backs if you're a Cowboys fan because what happens
one
to
of them's going to end up somewhere where you don't want them to.
Not only that, but what happens to them and where they go is going to shape the first round of the draft.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about stuff like that all the time. We don't know, is one of these guys a top 5 pick, top 8 pick? Is somebody going to fall? Is Leonard Fournette going to be there for somebody who didn't think so? And then that, in turn, affects what the Cowboys do at 28? I mean, it's all a domino effect. It's all linked together.
Yeah.
So to sit here and, yes, the Cowboys do not need a running back. Yes, neither one of these guys will play for the Cowboys.
Right.
But
they might play against the Cowboys.
Then not only that, but where they go could affect who is available to the Cowboys.
Absolutely. Yeah. What are you thinking about? You had a chance to debate Pete Prisco at your other job with CBS Sports. He was against the 240-pound Leonard Fournette.
And Fournette did say that he was surprised by that.
Yeah.
He thought he'd be more around 235, the water weight.
Yeah, and now I'm using this as an excuse. That's why I'm so big. It's the water weight.
How much water you been drinking?
Maybe 260 pounds worth of water weight.
So it'll be interesting.
I'm using it as an excuse now.
We'll see what he is at his pro day. He said he feels most comfortable at 235. I don't think it's a big deal. Fournette, if he's 230 to 240, as long as he's somewhere in there, I think he'll be just fine. I mean, people forget that Derrick Henry last year was 247.
Right.
Good point.
I don't remember a lot being made about that. I mean, Fournette is a freak.
I made a big deal about it because I wasn't a huge Henry fan for the big back like that.
Right, but you didn't think he was necessarily overweight.
No, I didn't think he was overweight at all.
That's just how he's built.
That's how he's built, right.
Same thing with Fournette.
Right.
240 pounds does not make him overweight. If he is 230, does he run that much faster? I don't think so. I think that's just who he is.
He also said up there that if somebody asked him to play at 225, he thought he could. Yeah. So I mean,
that's what Ricky.
He's comfortable playing at that 230 pounds.
Ricky Williams at the combine in 1999 was 242 pounds. Okay, he probably played more like 225, 230 throughout his career because he quickly found out that was better
slimmer,
for the NFL.
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
At Texas.
Get away with it.
Yeah, but in the NFL, it worked better at a lower weight.
Yeah. Well, the thing to me was I thought was interesting, too, with Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook said he's the best running back in this draft.
He's not wrong.
I mean, you get here, and I feel like that's almost –
and we think this is a good group of running backs.
That's damn near a consensus opinion, honestly. Like, I don't hear that many people standing on the table saying Leonard Fournette is a definitively better back.
No.
There's not as much debate about it as I honestly thought there would be.
Since the summer, Dalvin Cook, to me, has been the top back, and I've always said I don't think he's Zeke. I think he's a step behind Zeke.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, I will take him over Fournette, and I love Fournette. He's a freak. He belongs in the first round. Cook is just a better all-around back, and I feel good about the durability, the long-term, just ability to hold up. Then Cook should be the first running back drafted. It'll be interesting to see if NFL teams agree with that, or might they go with, when Fournette goes out there and runs a 4.48, at 240 pounds, of maybe, all right, he's just too much of a freak. We can't pass on him.
He said he's thinking 4.4s.
See, that's the funny thing about it, because I asked you this question yesterday about if Dalvin Cook is your number one back, would a 4.48 from Leonard Fournette change your opinion about him as far as where you would have him?
No, because I know he's fast. Now, I mean, even if he ran in the 4.3s, it's not going to change my opinion.
Right, because of the tape.
Well, and for a running back, how much does a 40-yard dash really matter?
Well, we've seen with Zeke. I mean, it's a 4.46 maybe.
Is that 4?
But I'm talking about the finish.
That's 4 plays a year, where where you're
exactly.
straight in, burn away speed. And you could argue it makes a difference between Zeke and DeMarco Murray, but I agree. I mean, tenths of a second on a 40 should not dictate your pecking order. I mean, you should decide that on something more concrete, in my opinion.
I'm just asking.
When we talk about 40-yard dash, I think corner and wide receiver, it matters a lot more. The vertical, you want to see that. But when talking about running back, I care about the 3-cone, the short shuttle, the change of direction.
Oh, now you're speaking my language.
I want to see what Fournette does in those drills. Now, if he performs exceptionally well or exceptionally better than Cook, then I'm not going to change my rankings, but I'm going to go back to the tape and say, okay, he's a lot better than Cook was, or just on the quantitative data. Let's go back to the tape and figure out, okay, did we miss something?
Yeah.
What's going on here?
I think to me, when you talk about corners, when you talk about receivers,
right,
even linebackers, running backs, give me the 20-yard shuttle. When I used to do this, when I used to sit in that RCA dome, I would go. Everybody else would go watch other drills. I'd sit down there and watch the 20 shuttle. That's the one. That's the drill where they start in the middle. You go to 10 one way with one hand, go 10 the other, and then come back and finish.
Right.
Look at those times. Those are the ones. You get some guys that get in that under 4 on that
3-cone. That's the same thing for me.
Yeah,
that's how I feel about that. If you get under 7,
right,
in the 3-cone,
you're doing some work.
Yeah, because you can't. If you're stiff, even a little bit, you can't hide.
You can't hide that.
It's going to be exposed. And so the short shuttle and the 3-cone, both, they showed that not only initial burst, change of direction, to flexibility, and then the finish. How can you close? So I think, if you're a little bit stiff, you're not going to be able to hide. You're going to get exposed in those drills.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. That's what I say. I used to sit down there and watch the guys go one after another, and you could tell a lot about. Well, okay, wait a minute. This guy on tape, you could tell why he's stiff,
right?
Because you watch that drill. Of these running backs that work out tomorrow, who is going to work out the best? Who do you feel like is going to be the guy that when it's all said and done, we're going to go, okay, that kid right there helped him the most?
I think it'll be Cook.
Of those top guys,
I think Cook will work out the best.
Of the Cook, and then the Fournette, McCaffrey,
we're not
Gallman,
talking about McCaffrey,
Kamara, Samuel. I mean, I've got him. He might not be. He's a receiver.
He's going to be working on receiver.
Hunt. I mean, who of that group do you think will have the best workout?
I think it'll be Cook. I think McCaffrey will be up there. He came in at only 202 pounds, only put up 10 and it was a wobbly 10.
Yeah, it was a wobbly 10
on the bench. That's his body type. He's probably maxed out. So it's talk about him as a feature back. Can he hold up? Is he a 3-down player? He kind of said today he feels disrespected. He feels like he is that type of player. And so the player that I think I'm most intrigued about in terms of his workouts is Deontay Foreman from Texas. A guy that
got a lot of folks interested in that one.
Dominated the Big 12.
Sure he did. And you hate the defense in the Big 12.
What defense?
Exactly.
And at 233 pounds, I want to see how he works out. Not the 40, but I want to see the change of direction, the short shuttle, the 3-cone.
Because you don't see that on film, do you?
No, because you see a lot of power. You see a lot. You don't
see power.
You don't see shifty moves.
You don't see make the first guy miss moves.
Right. And honestly, a lot of times he didn't have to.
Right.
Because that's again Big 12 defense. So I want to see how he performs. He talking to him earlier. He thinks he feels pretty good about how he's going to test. And so I'm eager to see if he lives up to that.
Anybody in mind? McCaffrey.
And McCaffrey's kind of the forgotten man. And
does he have a right to be that feels slighted by everybody?
Probably, considering how damn good and versatile he was in college.
Oh, yeah.
Mean, I'm gonna do it again and say is he like an every down back in the NFL? I don't know about that, but I totally get where he's coming from in the sense that he feels like, he should feel like he is. All these guys should be confident in what they can do. Me personally, and this is biased, but I've known who Leonard Fournette was since I was like 16.
Right.
He's the stuff of like folklore in Louisiana.
Oh, watch the highlights at night.
Not even just college.
Watch safeties just crumple.
The stuff coming out about him when he was a high schooler, like bossing seniors around as a freshman in high school. Leonard Fournette was a household name in Louisiana before he ever put on an LSU helmet.
Right.
And this is suited for him. And if he doesn't really, really ball out in the workouts, I will not only be surprised but disappointed because it's all been. This is what he was. I actually asked him about that today. I was like, people have been talking about you entering the draft process since before you even got to college.
Right.
Does it feel weird that you're actually here, like you're actually doing it now?
Right.
And I don't know. There's just been too much hype about this guy for him to not come out and show out.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for him to really blow people away tomorrow.
I'm looking forward to seeing Cook work out tomorrow. I'm looking forward to seeing Gallman work out from Clemson. Is another one that and Kamara from Tennessee, and then Hunt, Toledo.
Yeah.
I'm looking for those guys tomorrow myself because I've got them at certain points on my board. And I want to know, though, is the workout matching the tape? And then, does it fit?
When you can, and McCaffrey falls into this too, for sure, but when you consider what the Cowboys could use and what each of these guys do and where the Cowboys pick, Kamara is a guy that really intrigues me just in the sense that, like, I don't have to scratch him off the board right away like I do with Fournette. And also, he could be a complimentary back to Ezekiel Elliott.
Do you think Cowboy fans would scream if they drafted McCaffrey?
Yes.
Well, yeah, because you had to draft him in the first round. And so,
right. No, if you took him at 28.
And I think would you have to take Kamara at 28, you think? Could you?
No. I thought you were talking about McCaffrey.
No. Well, either, but
I think you do, yeah.
Yeah, I think you do,
I don't
too.
think
Kamara from Tennessee. You think you're going to have to – he doesn't get to 60.
I think he goes somewhere in the top 50 picks.
Yeah.
Or maybe 55.
I think they both do.
Right.
Kamara and McCaffrey.
Oh, yeah. I agree. And so you're taking a running back in back-to-back years, especially after your running back did what he did last year.
Yeah.
It's not you're not allocating your resources well.
That's a tough sell. A very tough sell.
But McCaffrey, because you don't see him as an every down play. I mean, as an every down back, you see him as a utility player.
Sure,
though.
and he would be like Lance Dunbar on steroids. Like he would be
Did they do anything with Lance Dunbar?
You heard it here first, steroids.
Ooh, that sounds bad. It would be Lance Dunbar at a much higher – he would be able to catch, run, and do all your returns.
Be interested to see if fans out there would have a problem drafting McCaffrey at 28.
I don't need to ask them to know that they would flip.
Yeah.
You think they'd flip?
I mean, you could find people who would be on board.
Where's he in your top 50?
Oh, he's high. He's a first-round player.
Yeah.
I mean, he's somewhere in the 20s for me on my board. He's a first-round player. He belongs in the first round. I think he's a feature back. You just kind of tweak your opinion of what a feature back is.
Oh, okay.
Because he's
every down player.
Well, you don't want him carrying the ball 25 times a game, but you want him touching the ball 25 times. So 17, 18 carries, put him in the slot.
Should I do?
And that's something that I'm not sure fits the Cowboys because they have their.
Should I do a poll about this?
Absolutely, do a poll. Okay, Dave's going to put up a Twitter poll, and let's see if we can get that. Hopefully, everybody out there will do that. Okay, we're going to take our first break. When we come back, we're going to hit that Twitter on the 20. Stay tuned. You're watching The Draft Show.
With unlimited data from AT&T, you can stream your favorite DirecTV content almost anywhere. Side effects may include sports-induced public celebration, increased desire to share spoilers, and repeated late-night use of the phrase,
just one more episode.
The unlimited effect. Get unlimited data when you switch to AT&T Wireless and have DirecTV.
After 22 gigabytes of data usage, AT&T may slow speeds. Must have eligible TV service. If you're not eligible, AT&T will move you to a new plan and overage charges may apply. Plan will include Stream Saver. Other restrictions apply. See store for plan details.
Hey, Cowboys fans. Did you know that over the next few years, more than 1 million service members will transition from military to civilian life? Veterans face unique challenges when they get out of the military, and Bank of America and the Dallas Cowboys are teaming up to help with financial education, career opportunities, and support of military nonprofits and organizations locally in North Texas and across the country. We're proud to support our troops and are deeply grateful for the dedication and sacrifice of our service members and veterans. Bank of America, official bank of the Dallas Cowboys, invites you to join us in our efforts to get involved by tagging game day photos on social media using #TroopThanks, that's #TroopThanks, and by learning more about our commitment to veterans at bankofamerica.com/military support. Together, we can thank our troops in ways that make a real difference.
Copyright 2016, Bank of America Corporation.
I went to my first Cowboy football game at the Cotton Bowl when I was 10 years old. I've been a Cowboy fan ever since, in the Super Bowl years and the not-so-good ones. Teamwork is what makes winners. At the law office of Domingo Garcia, we play as a team to win your case. If you have been hurt in a car or truck accident, injured on the job, call the law office of Domingo Garcia and join our winning team. With offices in Dallas, Houston, Austin, Odessa, and Tyler, we can help you in Texas. Call 214-941-8300. 214-941-8300.
This is the DallasCowboys.com Draft Show.
The Cowboys are on the clock.
Back here on the Draft Show from the Convention Center here in Indianapolis.
Sounds way less official saying Convention Center as opposed to Lucas Oil
Stadium.
Yeah,
we're not there anymore. We're in this big convention center.
Right across the street.
Right across the street. So we're here manning the station. I want to thank Caliber Collision and Tommy John for helping us out, being sponsors. Dave, you're a big fan of that Tommy John product.
I'm really sad.
We talked about the socks yesterday.
I'm really sad I left my Tommy John underwear in Dallas because it's the nicest underwear I own. It doesn't ride up. It's just very comfortable. It's very you do a lot of walking here at the Combine.
No chafing.
No chafing whatsoever.
Absolutely. The socks are glorious too, right?
I can't stress enough what a dynamite product this is. And I hate shilling for I won't shill for something I don't believe in. But
But you believe in this.
This is a quality product.
Yeah, well,
premium underwear is a real thing.
It
I didn't
really
believe
is.
in it until Tommy John came along.
100%.
And it's worth every penny.
Well, then
TommyJohn.com/Cowboys for Cowboys.
Yeah,
Tommy John.
Get you some Tommy John underwear with stars on it.
Absolutely. That's Caliber Collision and then Tommy John. Thank you both for being along. Okay, we're going to get into a little Twitter on the 20.
Twitter on the 20.
There you go. Dave Hellman, take it away.
We talked about this sort of yesterday. We remember Speedy Noyle talking about maybe he should play corner.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, maybe, and Jabril Peppers comes into this a little bit too. Friend of the show, Bobby Belt, wants to know.
Bobby Belt, good man, Bobby Belt.
Who's in the biggest need of a position change when they get from college to the pro level? I mean, this could be tackles to guards. This could be safeties to corners and vice versa.
Yeah, I think Speedy Noyle belongs in that conversation. And guy we talked about, a phenomenal athlete. His routes are terrible and he drops too many passes.
Yep, there you go.
But we talked about him yesterday, so we'll move on to someone else. I think Jabril Peppers. It's not necessarily needs a position change. It's just what position do you play him? It's just I think that's the more confusion there.
Right.
For me, I'll say Forrest Lamp. The 4-year starter at left tackle. He's in that Zach Martin mold where could he potentially play outside of tackle? Sure. I think it's possible, just like Zach Martin probably could. But to maximize his talent, the skill set, best put him inside a guard. I think Forrest Lamp has Pro Bowls in his future.
Like the way he spoke today.
Yeah.
Up there at the podium.
I missed him. What did he say?
No, he was very, as the questions were firing to him, he was very thoughtful about your question. I thought, to me, that showed a little bit of organization, a little bit of focus on, I'm answering your question. Thank you for that question. I'm answering your question. Thank you for that. I mean, he was that type of guy.
I got him ready. I talked to him on the phone a couple weeks ago, and
he was very prepared. The questions were coming at him. He thanked people for being, for getting him to where he is today, and it meant a lot to him to be here in this opportunity. I'm gonna throw out a guy, Desmond King. From Iowa.
Y'all have talked about him.
Yeah, and the draft show, I want to bring up guys. I want to bring up more guys. Desmond King, we talked about Iowa. I think the Sutton kid, too, from Tennessee. And I've been pushing this one, though, about him. And, he's a corner at Tennessee. I saw him at the Senior Bowl play safety and cover O.J. Howard in some drills, in some 7-on-7 stuff. And he looked really comfortable doing it. And his speed wasn't attacked.
Right.
I think as a corner, he gets attacked. But as a safety, he might have that ability to be able to play back and be able to play down wherever he has to do, have the cover ability. I don't know how great of a tackler he could be. Now, I know Desmond King could be a great tackler.
Well, let me go back to King for a second here. What number are you expecting from him in the 40? We talked about the 40 being
4.53 was kind of the spring number that people were dealing with.
That's not
it's not terrible, but you could see it on tape, Dave.
Right.
You could see him on tape. You could see separation. And I physically love how the kid plays. I love how he tackles. I love how he's willing to stick his head in there. I love how he comes forward. And I think he could do that. As a safety, though, I just worry about that burst and that separation.
And once he's beat, he doesn't have the makeup.
He doesn't have the catch-up speed. He does not have that catch-up speed.
The more and more we go through this, I'm not trying to get too off topic, but I think about how hard it might be to retain Barry Church and how J.J. Wilcox is maybe not too big of an improvement on what you already have in Jeff Heath, and then Byron Jones is there. The deeper we get into this, the more I really like the idea of spending a big-time asset on a safety. In terms of what your options are.
Would you rather spend a big-time asset on a safety or a tight end?
A safety? Yeah, a safety. Because
looking at the Cowboys.
It depends. Because
if
you're telling me you could have either O.J. Howard or,
Desmond King at 60?
Trying to think, because
that's
Hooker
tough,
and Adams are off the board.
They're gone
at 20, 28.
Buda Baker.
Yeah, see, to me, I'd rather have Howard.
Yeah,
I think Howard's a more slam dunk prospect than basically any safety you're going to have a shot at.
Right,
and so that makes it difficult. But I think this team could use a really good safety over the next 2 years more than they could use a tight end.
Yeah, the overall point, you're absolutely right. But I think at what point in the draft, Des King, I think in the second round, I'd like that.
I wouldn't have a problem. Des King's sitting there at 60. Watch me go up on the table at the Star. Both big feet will be right up on that table. I think this guy's got the ability. He can. I just like his demeanor. He's a tough SOB in the way he plays.
Okay, this wasn't going to be my next question, but this is a good segue. I'm so sorry I don't have your tweet up. I don't know your name, but somebody asked earlier. Thought it was a good question because we've talked about him before, and I agree with the question. I have heard Obi Melifonwu, the Connecticut safety.
Good job.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I have heard him talked about everywhere from the first round to the third day. I've heard it all. So What is this guy? What is your range for this guy? I know we've talked about him as a player. I know how y'all. I mean, he's not as stiff as you would expect from a 6'4", 220-pound safety.
He's not.
He's got some coverage to him.
He does.
Blah blah blah. But where are you thinking this guy is actually picked?
I think there is a chance he could be that riser this year. He skyrockets into the first round. You had body beautiful. I think he's going to test really well at that size. And
who's our guy Atlanta took last year?
Keanu Neal, right?
And it was the same thing. That one to me
that surprised a lot of people.
That came out of nowhere.
And he played well as a rookie.
And
for
he
the
sure
Falcons,
did.
So
and he was a big body guy, right?
Right. And so I think Melifonwu, I don't see a first round player. I don't see a second round player when you watch him on tape.
See, this is what we're talking about.
So
here.
Yeah,
third.
I don't know.
You got a 3-4 or 4?
I think I have a 3-4 on him.
Yeah, I went straight 3.
Like a borderline top 100, but he's not going to go near that spot. I think second round's probably his floor in terms of where he's drafted. It's based on what he does here. I think he's going to test really well, and first round's possible.
The old man is going to give you a history lesson.
You want to say something smarmy right here?
No, the old man's going to give you a history lesson. Joey Browner, Steve Atwater, big safeties that made it. Big safeties that didn't make it. Look up Patrick Bates and look up Patrick Watkins for the Cowboys in the 5th round. That was one of our special days. Talk about a stiff guy that couldn't move, couldn't turn. Florida State guy. 2 names. Joey Browner. Go back and Google that if you're too young. And Steve Atwater. Big safeties.
I hope you don't need to Google Steve Atwater.
No. But Patrick Bates was a very high pick by the Los Angeles Raiders from UCLA. Went by way of Texas A&M. And so, those are names of guys. They've had some big ones that have failed.
You mean an A&M defender didn't pan out? Wow.
Didn't pan out.
They don't play defense at A&M.
Kent
so
with the self-burn.
Yeah.
Fitting.
Self-inflicted.
Coming from an Aggie, and this is a draft where the number 1 player in the draft is from A&M.
Not a great thing to say when Myles Garrett's the number 1 pick.
What do you got, Dave?
Dat Dude Paul. Love that Twitter handle.
Dat Dude Paul.
We talk a lot about how corner and defensive end figure to be there. A lot of players here. Good question here. Where does it drop off after the first round? Like in layman's terms, where are they effed?
That's fair.
If you don't get your guy at 28, where is it like you're kind of screwed?
Oh, geez. I'm looking at on my board. I'm looking at guard. Would that be kind of where it's at, Dane? I mean, I've got 3 centers. I got a second center, a third center, Eflin, and then Posick and Olowski are my 3 guys at centers. I mean, could it be a quarterback?
No, you're saying if you don't get the guy at 28.
If you don't get the guy at
which one? Which
is
position?
He talking about he's just talking about position in general.
Which position has the steepest drop off as the draft goes?
Okay,
I mean, you got to get your guy early, or you're not.
I think it's tackle. Personally.
Tackle, yeah. I mean, the quality of the tackle. Their names there.
To me, Ramchek's a top 20 pick. And then I think there's a little bit of a drop-off. And then you got Cam Robinson and Garrett Bowles.
Right.
And then you have another pretty sizable drop-off. And then you got your Taylor Motons, your Antonio Garcias. But those 2 guys, to me, aren't, clear-cut starters.
People are talking about Sharp from Florida. I mean,
down
the line.
Right. So, I think tackle to me, if you want your guy, if you want to tackle a starting caliber tackle, especially right away, I think you have to get him early.
I just went at you with that. I went with the Lamp, Dawkins, Feeney combination.
Yeah.
Okay, all those guards go off the board. All of them go off the board.
Second round.
Yeah, they all go off the board in the second round. Now pick me one in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round.
See, I've got Ethan Posick in the 3rd. I know to me, he's not a center. I like him as either a guard, maybe even kick outside the tackle.
Yeah. Gigantic center.
Right.
He doesn't like 6. He doesn't like tall centers.
I didn't like Glasgow last year because of that. Well, I grade him as a guard, a solid guard. But I also have Nico.
Where do you have Posick then? We're talking about Posick LSU.
3rd round guard.
Okay, so then that makes it, because I've got him as a center, but that makes it a little bit bearable. Because I see a gap after the 2nd round. Then you go down into the 4th round.
See, I've got plenty of guys in the 3rd and 4th round that guard. I probably like some guys better than you. Nico Siragusa from San Diego State.
See, I need to do that.
Guy I need to look at Asiata from Utah, same type of thing.
Did a nice job on the bench today.
He did. USC guard Damian Mama. Have you looked at him?
Yep.
I think he's kind of in that mix
so
as well.
You've got names to fill in that spot. So it's not as
it's pronounced Mama. So we had Daddy Nicholas last year, and now we got
Very
Mama.
good.
Okay, good.
Thanks for paying attention to the draft.
Of course. Oh, it's Randall who asked me about Obi Melifon when we were earlier.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Appreciate that. Question from Justin, given that this is going to happen soon. And we've talked about this before, but whatever. Which drill at the Combine translates the most to success for a defensive lineman? Which one? And
pass rusher or interior?
He said D lineman. Let's say pass rusher for the purposes of the Cowboys.
There's 2 drills I pay close attention to, and that's the 10-yard split, which is just the initial 10 yards of the 40-yard dash.
Yep.
Shows that initial explosion.
That's what Tom Coughlin used to time every year.
And then
that was his drill or spot.
It probably returns that maybe this year.
Oh,
maybe goes back to that now with the Jaguars.
Got a Jaguar hat. Just break out the old Jaguar hat.
Finally, I'm back.
Yeah.
And for me, 3-cone. That's the drill I love. But, I think, especially for pass rushers, you want to see that flexibility.
Bend.
Right, exactly. And that's something in the 3-cone, the L-cone, or the L drill.
Right.
You're showing that bend.
Yeah.
So can you do that, get around that corner.
And then finish it.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I think the vertical matters, just that lower body explosion, the broad jump, and that's those drills. The higher the number doesn't tell me that you're better. It's just a threshold drill. So
right.
in the vertical and the broad jump.
Explosion.
Yeah, I want to see at least a certain number for, each position. So I think for pass rusher, 10-yard split, 3-cone, those are the 2 big ones for me.
Yeah, I totally agree with Dane. I mean, that 10-yard, if you see a guy come flying out of there low, he's got some bend.
Right.
He goes low, and then he can plant that foot and turn, in a small spot right there. So I totally agree with him about the 3-cone. Because the way the 3-cone is run, you go up and then you turn and then you circle back, which again shows you the ability for the bend and the balance is another thing. And then it has you finish it off coming around the corner. You see guys, if they get really wide around and they're off balance, you're like, whoa. And then but you see guys that come around the corner and they're real tight to that cone and then they turn, then you can kind of get something out of that.
And we always joke about the underwear Olympics and it's not football and stuff, but it's almost startling how, if a guy doesn't look good doing it jumps off the screen.
Right.
And
if a guy is really stiff.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
If you see a guy that's really stiff, and watch some of these drills tomorrow with the offensive linemen, and when they start kick sliding, and it looks like they're getting drugged back the other way.
They labor.
It's a struggle. They can't get away from. That's the whole thing with offensive linemen, Dave. Get away from the line quickly. Kick and get depth and go.
I would never dare suggest. Obviously, I would never dare suggest that this is more important than tape. But it's almost like some of this stuff can get hidden on tape because you got people slamming into you. You got everything's happening. There's 90 guys all over the place, and then you get out here and it's just like you and a coach. And if you don't look good, it shows. It really shows.
Certain schemes in college can help mask some of those issues, and I know there are several teams that believe this, but the number one trait you look for, no matter the position, is how a player holds up in space. I know I've said that before.
No doubt. Absolutely.
How does a player – it doesn't matter.
Space is important.
Linebacker, running back, it doesn't matter. How a player holds up in space is huge. And so this is why the Combine exists. Aside from the medicals and the interviews and all that, the on-field, that's why they don't do these – they have these drills for a reason. It all matters. And it helps separate, the athletes from the non-athletes and the guys that might be a little stiff in the ankles, and guys that have that ankle flexion that you want. So it really is beneficial. Like you said, it gets tabbed the underwear Olympics, and there's a negative stigma, 40-yard dash. That's all people care about. But there's a place for each one of these drills, and each one of these times, they really matter.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And it's always been impressive to me if you have tall guys and their ability to bend.
Mm-hmm.
If a tall guy can really get low to the ground. Yep. I remember guys like Derek Thomas way back in the day, Kansas City. He was a blur at Alabama. I just remember how low he used to get to the ground. And those offensive tackles had such a problem getting their hands. No hitting space, no hitting surface. Tall guy, and he's dipping and running at the same time. You get the guy that can dip and run. That's what I liked about Noah Spence.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you watch Noah Spence.
You always find a way to bring your pet cats back
No,
into the
but I'm just saying, though, when you watch guys work drills, give me the guy that can bend and can get his shoulder down past the tackle and get to the point of the quarterback.
Yeah, it's what makes Myles Garrett, kind of the favorite to be the number 1 overall pick, because he's DeMarcus Ware to me. That's the player I see, that caliber of player, 6'4", 255 pounds, around there. The length, the athleticism, the body control, the balance, it's all there to be a productive pass rusher. So, I think going back to the original point about what we look for in defensive linemen, it really comes down to these explosion drills and the change of direction.
You got time for one more? Or
yeah, sure. How about one more?
All right, and I'm going to totally put y'all on the spot, but we're going to do it anyway.
That's okay.
Paul
wants
to know if you could see a scenario that involves a trade up in the first round, which fans love that. Like they love to talk about the trade up, which Dane,
are we going to do it without a player, or we have to use picks?
Well, in this scenario, you're talking about a guy that you didn't think would be in your range. You're giving up picks, I guess. I'm thinking the DeMarcus Lawrence scenario. That was a trade up in the second, but he was the last end that they liked, and they made a move and got him.
Morris Claiborne situation, where
that's even better.
A guy that's high on their board, but all of a sudden, we didn't think he'd be available here. Let's go get him. Absolutely, and I think you have to keep that option open. You don't go into the draft thinking, no way we trade up. You have to keep an open mind to, and go over these scenarios ahead of time. If player X gets to a certain point, that's when we start making some calls and figure out, what's it going to take? And I think for me, pass rusher is what we're looking at.
Certainly, I would say.
Right.
Barnett.
I think even Harris, if one of these because these pass rushers aren't going to last very long. They're going to fly off the board. And you need one. Can you really wait back and just get your guy, or do you need to maybe move up a little bit to go get him? I think that very well could be the case this year. And if a Barnett, a Harris, if they fall into the 20s, the early 20s, maybe you package that third rounder to go up and get him.
You have no 5.
Yeah.
Which makes this tough.
It sets you back.
It does. But you go get your player.
If you think he's a guy that
fortune favors the bold,
contribute from day one and help you right away, you go do it.
And you know what's fun? And I notoriously hate doing that. I like picks, but I feel so much better about getting rid of 92 to go get a guy that I think can help me than I would have getting rid of 67.
Right.
67 got you Malik Collins, who was number 2 on the team at sacks.
Right.
So it's a way more tenable idea when you're talking about picking at the back of the round, in my opinion.
If Davis from Western Michigan, the receiver, would slide, would you go up for him?
Slide where?
He slides to 20, Denver.
And all it takes is my third rounder?
You got to go 3 to go get there.
Come on, Denver.
Yeah. I probably would. But I don't see any way that he's going to fall that far.
Well, maybe with the medical information.
Nobody ever sees it, Dane. Laramie Tunsil went 9 last year.
Well, that was a little
14,
different.
I believe.
Yeah, even further than that.
If he falls because of injury, then it's a different discussion, because you're trading up for an injured guy.
Yeah.
Who's a really good receiver, and teams are passing on him, for a reason. So that'd be a little difficult. But
I think go. I don't want to cut you off.
No, I think Corey Davis is one of those guys where he's really good, and if I have a chance to go get him, and all I have to give up is a 3, I'm going to go do it.
Yeah. This is why I always put out there the if you could get Tony Romo to flop the Denver situation.
Yeah, sure.
Where if you could get him to reduce his contract, Denver just to flop spots with you, where everything is clean for everybody. They keep their 1, you keep your 1.
That would be so dope.
They get their
amazing.
They're essentially, by allowing you to come up to 20, from 28 to 20, they're giving up a third-round pick. But they're really not giving up a third-round pick.
Right.
They're just giving you the opportunity to select a player at 20, which I think is the cleanest way to do this with the Broncos.
How much more exciting does the draft become for us if they're picking at 20? And now we're talking about a whole new pool of players.
We'll be ready. We'll be ready.
Oh, and of course we will.
We'll be ready.
I don't think I could convince myself to do that deal unless it was for a pass rusher. Like receiver, I can let receiver come to me. I know I'm not saying Corey Davis isn't a good player, but I feel much better letting that come to me. But if you're going to tell me Charles Harris is the last guy that fits the scheme that Marinelli's really on board with, and that's the guy, which is kind of ironic.
See, boy, I have Charles Harris just outside that first round.
I'm using that as an
No,
example.
I know you are. I know you are.
Whoever it is,
yeah.
I feel if that's the guy that you got to go get him. Which it's ironic because that's what they did with Lawrence, and it hasn't really panned out.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, thanks everybody for Twitter on the 20. We appreciate all the questions. We'll do this again tomorrow night. So make sure you are following at the Draft Show. Like I say, that's the best way to get your questions in. So hopefully Dave will select them and get them answered. So coming back here on the Draft Show from the Indianapolis Combine, I want to get into what if a player doesn't like football. We'll talk about that next.
To work this big land, you need equipment with values rooted as deep in Texas soil as you are. Like John Deere compact tractors with a 6-year powertrain warranty and big features that help you work less so you have more time to do what you love. John Deere was first in the Texas fields, and we're proud to be on the field as the official ag and turf equipment of the Dallas Cowboys. Find Texas-sized deals at myjohndeeredealer.com/football. Terms, conditions, exclusions, and warranty limitations apply. See dealer for details.
With unlimited data from AT&T, you can stream your favorite DirecTV content almost anywhere. Side effects may include sports-induced public celebration, increased desire to share spoilers, and repeated late-night use of the phrase,
just one more episode.
The unlimited effect. Get unlimited data when you switch to AT&T Wireless and have DirecTV.
After 22 gigabytes of data usage, AT&T may slow speeds. Must have eligible TV service. If you're not eligible, AT&T will move you to a new plan and overage charges may apply. Plan will include Stream Saver. Other restrictions apply. See store for plan details.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with sideline access and photo ops with current players, Cowboy legends, cheerleaders, and me, Brian Broaddus. Want to stay at the team hotel? With Star Sports Tours, you can. And our outstanding ticket selection is unmatched. You can trust the official travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and with us, you'll travel like a pro. Visit starsportstours.com to book your travel packages today.
When an injury keeps you from being active, you want one place that has the expertise to care for all your orthopedic needs. As the largest not-for-profit healthcare system in Texas, Baylor Scott & White Health is ready to care for you as a whole person. From athletic injuries to arthritis, you'll get personalized care from orthopedic specialists. So no matter where life finds you, today or in years to come, trust that we'll be there to care for you. To find a physician, visit BaylorScottandWhite.com.
This is the DallasCowboys.com Draft Show.
The Dallas Cowboys select Ezekiel Elliott.
And now, your hosts, Dane Brugler, David Hellman, and Brian Broaddus.
And also include Kent Garrison in that, the executive producer of the Draft Show, as always. We thank you guys for joining us here. We got about 15 more minutes left in the program. We're just going to remind you too that we want to thank Caliber Collusion and Tommy John for bringing us out here to Indianapolis and letting us participate in this. Dave, you put up a poll.
Yes.
At the Draft Show poll, asking
it's been up.
Yeah.
If Christian McCaffrey was the Cowboys' pick
there you go.
At 28, my choices were you would flip out in a good way or flip out in a bad way.
Right.
There's been 500 votes in the 20 minutes it's been up.
Thank you very much for doing that.
71% of people said bad way and said, no, get that guy off my team. I don't want that.
Surprised by that there, Dane Brugler.
No, that's what I thought.
That's not. That's no.
Did you vote on this?
Yeah, 70 times. No
offense to Mr. McCaffrey.
Right.
Cowboys fans are smart. I mean,
there you go.
I love McCaffrey. I do. I think he's an outstanding player. I'd love to have him on my team. But for this team, this situation, give me a guy that is going to see more snaps. He's going to impact my team more than I think McCaffrey would.
Yeah.
It's predictable.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I think it's a good idea. I think you're right about
Not
the
to
Cowboys.
mention, just get Joe Mixon three rounds later.
Oh.
That's another poll question.
Yeah, Joe Mixon. That's
that would be Cowboys fans they're like, would you draft Joe Mixon in the 4th round? It would be like 92-8
probably.
You know, the guy that was the most adamant about Joe Mixon not being here, and he went on record and said it, was John Dorsey. Actually, too, the general manager from the Lions was
he said he was.
Yeah, he was adamant about. I'm sorry, man. Who is the general manager from the Lions?
Bob Quinn.
Bob Quinn. Yeah, I'm sorry. I usually know all these guys. I don't know Bob very well.
It's funny. Dorsey during his presser today kind of retracted that a little bit.
Oh, did he?
Went a little more walk
soft,
the line and
he's soft. Yeah,
but
I tell you what, though, a lot of guys. It's like I say, it's a subject for another thing. March 8th, will be his pro day. But we thank everybody for voting for that thing. Okay, I want to get into this for the last 10 minutes or so and just take your opinion here of as we get to visit, and maybe not so much us, but you get an idea about these kids. You get a little bit of they're in this setting, they're thrown out there, they're asked questions, they do their best to answer the questions. But what if you get a kid, and this came up with Leonard Fournette today.
Yeah.
Leonard Fournette's interview, if you go back and watch he really talked about, not really being a football fan.
Yeah.
And so I want to know, because I've had experience, I want to get your guys' takes on what if you get a player that comes off as that football is not important to him. And especially a guy that's a very high pick. And I'm not picking on Leonard Fournette. I'm just saying, what if a player came up and it's part of the interview process, and you found out he really doesn't love football, but when you watch the tape, he's one of your 20 best players on your board.
It's a difficult discussion because how do you know he doesn't like football? I think that's
if in your interview process,
right? But
you get the feeling that he's not totally buying it. He goes, I play football. I've got a lot of other interests. Martellus Bennett. I'll just use him.
Yeah.
Very talented football player.
Helped the Patriots win a Super Bowl.
Second-round player from Texas A&M. If you interviewed Martellus Bennett, you would see that there's a lot more to life than football for him.
And that's not a bad thing. I mean, Christian McCaffrey, he can play the piano. He can do all these things.
Sure. So did Joey Harrington, and see what he got made.
Gosh.
You love bringing that up.
I know. To me, I don't know. I struggle with this because it's tough to really, and I think all teams struggle with this. It's tough to get in their head. I want to talk to the coaches. They're high school coaches. I want to find out how important football was to them. I don't need to have a guy who loved the NFL growing up and watched every game, and that's
How about just football in general?
Well, I need a guy.
The game.
I need guys going to work hard. Okay, if a guy,
Bingo.
And that to me that's a big thing. If a guy treats this as a job, I'm okay with that. There are players on the Cowboys right now who might not love football, but treat it as a job, collect a paycheck.
More than fans would probably guess.
Exactly. And I think every team does that, not just the Cowboys. All 32 teams have players who might not love football, but they like it, and they realize the doors that it opens. And that's what I heard from Fournette today.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I heard a guy that just head over heels loves football, but he understands the doors that it opens.
He said he works hard at it.
Yeah.
He does.
He said he never thought that football would give him these opportunities.
Sure.
And so I think he understands that these are doors that are open to him because of what he can do on the field. And so I'm not worried about Fournette squandering that away. And so I think that's where you have to kind of walk that fine line. It's okay not to love football, but you have to like it enough to the point where you're going to work your butt off and you're going to put in everything you can because it equals the paycheck.
I would even go as you don't have to love football. You have to be driven by something, and whether it's feeding your kids or changing your family's social status or being the best player ever and getting to the Hall of Fame. There's plenty of guys that care about stuff like that, and Dak Prescott cares about where he is in the pantheon of the game. I did not get the sense that Leonard Fournette cares about that, but I agree. I get the sense that Leonard Fournette will work his ass off for other reasons to be good at football. Going back, very brief history lesson. Last year, how much of a joker who did not care about football did Joey Bosa seem like?
Yeah.
Great example.
No, that's fair. That's fair. That's very fair.
Ridiculous. He's cracking jokes at the media. He's just kind of he's too cool. He's got bad posture. Defensive Rookie of the Year. Double-digit sacks, even though he sat out some games.
That's very fair.
You can be driven by plenty of stuff other than honestly, I don't care if you don't want to win a Super Bowl as long as you're willing to work your ass off to help the team win a Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Did you get the impression, though, the Cowboys weren't interested in Joey Bosa because they thought he was a clown?
I mean, no, I never really got that sense.
Would you think that?
He was on their board really high, top 5, right? Right.
You know who's playing running back for them right now, right?
Who, for the Cowboys?
Ezekiel Elliott.
Sure.
Is he not a bit of a clown?
No, he loves football.
He loves football to his core, but he is a class clown. He is a jokester.
I just got the impression that
he is a big kid.
I got the impression that there were some people that weren't in love with Joey Bosa
because of his on-field or off-field?
Because of his demeanor.
Because of his demeanor.
Yeah, I mean, see, and that's the fine line we're talking about.
That goes back to the right kind of guy.
And whether that's right, I mean, but you're trying to evaluate these players. But I want glass eaters.
But those people would be wrong because look at Bosa now. If they didn't, they didn't like his demeanor. Okay, and that's not all. Everyone on the roster is going to be that way. They're not always going to be wired exactly how you want. Ideally, sure. You've got choir boys. You've got guys that are wired to play football at a high level. And every single starter, every single first-round pick, it's just not the case. It's just not. That's not how it works.
It's not how people work.
Yeah. So it's a fine line you have to walk. And Bosa, I think, is a great example because, he doesn't come off like that. Student of the game who
really cares. Important.
Right. But I mean, you talk to his coaches, and they said he didn't miss a practice. I mean, he gave full effort. Week in, week out.
Oh, I was wrong about him. Yeah.
However he might feel about football. Speaking, I'm very close to the LSU program. Leonard Fournette was the heartbeat of that roster. I mean, he was the guy. He paced their practices. He demanded excellence. All that type of stuff you want to hear about those type of guys.
Okay, Christian McCaffrey skipped his bowl game.
Leonard
but so did
too.
Fournette.
Well, he wasn't fully healthy.
Yes.
Fournette gets a little bit of a pass there. But McCaffrey was healthy, and he decided not to play. Now,
you blame him?
It's a business decision. He's not getting paid for that. He's not getting paid to play in the Sun Bowl.
Right.
So I understand. I don't fault him. But for you, if you're in that war room, is that an indication that maybe he doesn't love football as much as you want him to?
I think that to me, and this is now you talk about you have your issues. This is where I have mine. I don't blame the player after what I saw happen to Jalen Smith, and I thought Jalen Smith wasn't going to get drafted.
Yeah,
I thought Jalen Smith wasn't going to ever play again.
He went in the second round.
And he went in the second round.
Top 40 as a matter of fact.
And he might not have gone to the Cowboys if 2 picks ahead of them had not gone off the board.
Ogba?
Yeah.
God?
Yeah. Ogba and the 2 defensive ends went off the board. And now you could see Stephen Jones and them scramble a little bit trying to get on the phones to get rid of that pick. But they take and who was way up there on their board. He was a top 5 player for them. But I'm just saying though, to me, it doesn't bother me about the guy skipping because I don't fault Leonard Fournette. I don't fault him after what I saw with Jalen Smith. Yeah. If we're playing for a national championship or in this playoff system, and they decide that they don't want to do that, now I have a little bit of pause there.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, why are you not? You're letting you're letting the Brian Broadduses of the world down, who's not a superstar.
Yeah.
But has a chance at a national championship ring.
And I would venture a guess you will never see like a quality football player ever do that. Like sit out of a game that truly and really matters.
Right.
Because of that.
It just bothers me. I would be very concerned about a player that just didn't love football. And I totally respect what you're saying. And maybe it's the old school part of me,
to me
the Jason Wittens of the world. For 14 years,
but hey,
he's done nothing but love football.
Who does Jason Witten sit next to in the Cowboys locker room and they're like thick as thieves? Cole Beasley, who left training camp and came back. He actually
Jason Witten. If you remember, Jason Witten wasn't too happy with Cole Beasley.
He was pissed.
He was pissed that Cole Beasley
but
quit.
Cole Beasley, he came back. He obviously did what he needed to do. He took it on, and they're brothers just like everybody else. It takes all different sorts.
It could be just as a guy with some character issues. It's a red flag. It's something that requires further investigation, and then when you draft him, it's a little bit of a risk. But plenty of character guys work out. For the better.
Yeah. I want to say this real quick, too. And Fournette's interview was not inspiring. I'm not trying to give him a pass. But who do you compare yourself to? Who do you model your game after? With the way these guys are coached, it's very possible he just didn't want to say any names and wind up in a headline.
I'll be honest. Zeke's interview last year, I got nothing out of it.
Remember, and this is going way back, DeMarco Murray he didn't want to say Emmitt Smith's name. He did not want to talk about Emmitt Smith. He didn't want to be compared to him. He didn't want to, again, Leonard Fournette could be sitting up there thinking, the last thing I need is for Pro Football Talk to write, Fournette, I see myself as Adrian Peterson. Right. And so that could just be self-preservation. We sit here and we're thinking, this guy doesn't watch football. He doesn't care about football. Maybe he's just being smart.
Okay, I take the media side out of it, though. But what if he did carry what we saw over there into those rooms? and you kind of got the vibe, and you're not really sure how to read him. And you're seeing, like, does he really care about – I mean, you watch the tape. You can see he cares about football because he runs over people. But is it really his long-term – is it his long – when you're investing in a guy, like Jason Witten, you invested for 14 years, and that's what you got.
He is driven enough. He has been a hyped prospect since he was 12 years old, and he is driven enough to – didn't deliver on the team aspect of it. Obviously, LSU didn't accomplish a lot while he was there.
Shaquille O'Neal, same way.
But he has delivered on every bit of the promise of what he could be in terms of his talent. And he's here now, so he's driven, and he's a freakish athlete. I would not let any of those types of concerns dissuade me from drafting him anywhere.
I don't think you're wrong. I remember a couple of years ago, Dominique Easley, talking to him, him telling me that he didn't watch football growing up or even now. Like, he preferred to watch cartoons.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure how to take that. You know, because it's one thing growing up. It's another thing right now. You don't have to love football. You don't have to love the NFL and watch it day in, day out. You need a release, and I understand that. But just the way he came off, it was very concerning.
And Fournette, he had another bad quote today where, he said, yeah, me and Dalvin Cook are friends. Like, well, what do you talk about? You talk about the game? And he's like, no, man, we just talk about life. Like, football players don't want to talk about football all the time. And
he's got a child, too, so football is...
And that is a totally understandable sentiment. But when you hear a guy say it, you're just kind of like, why not?
Right.
Why don't you want to talk about football all the time?
My concern is if you go in these meetings or these rooms and you're trying to separate these players, if they're so, does this guy really love football? Is he passionate about the game? Is he that, that might be the thing. That might be the stack that puts one guy on top of that. It's just something when you're building the board that a lot of these guys go through.
And, Dalvin Cook's answers in that regard were way better. So if you think they're close.
Right.
Yeah. You could slide
the
Dalvin
tape
Cook
is great on both of them.
Yeah.
But what you would do. So
it's
anyway.
Fair.
All right. Well, hey, that's all the time we have for the draft show today.
Good discussion.
Yeah, thank you guys. Want to thank Dane Brugler. He's done a great job here. I mean, he's got a couple more days of working with us. He's done a lot of interviews around, a very popular guy here at the Radio Row. A lot of knowledge there, so we're very fortunate to have him. David Hillman, thank you again, too, for everything you've done. Kent Garrison for keeping us on the air. We appreciate that. I want to thank also Derek Eagleton back home and Taylor Stern for always their help in pushing all this out. We'll be back with you guys tomorrow at 5 p.m. Central for another edition of the Draft Show. Be able to talk about some workouts. We've got the O-line and then the running backs going off tomorrow, and we'll have some more interviews and thoughts for that as well. So stay tuned, and we'll see you tomorrow.